So for this class then, you're setting goals at the third session. And so we're gonna have to do a little backtrack for right now. You can be yourself.
Okay.
It's gonna be full 20. Just 20 minutes. However you want to. Okay. So Peg, this is our third session, and in this session, we'll do a little bit of catch up, but towards the end of the session, we'll set some time aside and start setting goals for the rest of the time that we're working together.
Okay.
And I have a form that I'll fill out here, and so I'll get to that here in a few minutes. But let's just kind of do some backtracking, and we've had 2 sessions so far. What are some highlights from the sessions that we've had?
We were working on my stress level, and you were coaching me on how to say no to people and not put so much on my plate.
Okay. So we've been talking about how much you put on your plate and the decisions that you make about that kind of thing. What have you noticed since the last time we met?
That it all sounds good when I'm talking to you, but I can't do it.
It's really hard.
Yes.
It's the going from thinking to doing.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing that, and from what you were saying before too, that I'm making a plate, as you can see, that you have so much on your plate that it's not you don't even have time to think more about other things like changing what you're already doing.
Yeah, because every time I try to make plans to do something differently, I have my to-do list first before I can add that to my to-do list.
And that would be another thing for your to-do list.
Mm-hmm. It's exhausting.
And I can hear that in your voice too.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
It is. But if I don't do something different, it's never going to get better.
That's a hard place to be. It's like this, you want to do something different, and the being able to, it's hard to fit them together. There's a real disconnect there.
Yeah, and I thought about it since our last session, is that not doing something that's on my to-do list really impacts my mood. Because then I start to tell myself that, well, if you were good enough, you'd be able to do it all. You've been doing it all. But then if I don't do it, it doesn't get done.
And that's sort of a vicious circle. It's a big circle.
That's my life.
Yeah. I can see where this is really hard. And it's no wonder that you've continued with this circle for as long as you have. It's like there's no way out of it.
I haven't figured it out yet. I mean, I'm very committed to whatever work I take on. I've just never done jobs that are half-assed. So, I shouldn't be posting. So.
There's all kinds of words that come out in here.
Yeah. So it's that perfectionistic tendency I have.
Well, and so if we break things down into even smaller pieces, we have the thinking, and we have the feeling, and we have the doing. And in any place of change, we could start at the thinking level, or the feeling level, or the doing level.
Yeah.
And so maybe together we could figure out what's happening at the thinking, the feeling, and the doing levels, and then we could that might give us some sense of where we could start to do some shifting. So at the thinking level,
I don't even get much further than that.
yeah,
Because I know, on the one hand, I know something needs to change, and yet I also know that, I'm committed project I'm working on, and I'm not even, I mean, the only thing I was aware of, you giving me that assignment to try to figure out the feelings, cause I'm not always good with those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always doing something, I don't have time to stop and feel.
Yeah, it's like you're at the thinking and the doing. The thinking is about some of the things that you said. I'm a perfectionist, so that's some of the thoughts that you have about what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the feeling, that sounds like it's tricky because you just said you don't have time for that.
Don't.
And yet they're still there.
Yeah, I had
Because
to
you
really
end up-
think about
yeah.
the fact that thinking about making the changes was exhausting. But oh my God, I can't even imagine going there.
Yeah, and that sounds to me like it's scary to go there.
Well, I don't know if I feel scared about it. I just don't have time for it. It's like a luxury I don't have time for. Things need to be done, take care of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I've always gotten through,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know.
And we've come full circle too. We've come full circle to, there's a part of you that wants to change, and there's another part of you that can't even see a way to do it.
Mm. That's true.
Yeah.
Because there's only 24 hours in the day, and everybody gets the same 24 hours. It's just, maybe it's an issue of priorities. But see, I don't know how to separate those priorities sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So you've already sort of started coming to some possible goals that we could set, and that is, you just said, well, maybe it's an issue of priorities, and since you're really good at thinking and doing, then when that priorities is about what you're thinking about and doing too. So we have a few minutes, just enough time to do the setting goals, and we can always change these, but for right now, we're just going to sort of make a stab at setting some goals for the work that we're doing. And just know that we're not gonna get to everything, but we're moving in that direction. So if we look at then, I've gone ahead and filled out part of this, but the first thing here is a long-term goal, and what long-term goal are you aiming for?
Like more balance in my life.
Okay. Okay, and if we were to, we could break that into smaller steps. What would, so shorter term, what would more balance look like?
Like scheduling time socially with friends,
Okay.
scheduling lunches.
Okay. And that's actually, we can take that one, or we can, and break it into two smaller subsets, steps, or we can just go to another short-term goal.
I don't know. Me time would be
Okay.
nice. Not sure I'd recognize it, but.
So I'm just, if you said me time would be nice, and I'm gonna put.
Hobbies, things I enjoy doing. But see, that's also part of the dilemma I have, is because I enjoy my work. I know it sounds crazy, but I really enjoy my work, so I don't, I mean, I usually put in about 50, 60 hours a week. But I love it, so it doesn't
in your life is probably this much instead of this much.
Yeah. Mhm.
That it's not gonna take, we're not talking about having lunch with friends every day. We're not talking about having me time for hours and hours. We're talking about just a little something that, because it would be different if you didn't love what you do.
Mhm.
That gives you great satisfaction anyway, and you're okay with a certain amount of stress. I think that's what you're saying.
Mhm.
So we might wanna look at, and maybe that's the between session work, cause we're gonna run out of time here, is to think about, that's the other sheet that I got. Given this, what would you like to think about or work on between now and the next time we meet?
Like maybe scheduling 2 lunches or 2 dinners, and contacting people.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm wondering, yeah, if we scale it back, when was the last time you had 2 lunches or 2 dinners?
About 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
I had someone to our house, and before that, it was probably first weekend in December, and before that, it was probably summer.
Yeah, so maybe 2 is not the number to aim for.
Not per week, yeah, that's probably a good point, yeah. See, that in and of itself, I kinda make my goals a little lofty.
Yeah.
Maybe just once or twice a month would be good.
Okay, and when you say that, how does it sit with you?
Doable.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't stress me out. The idea of putting 2 people into my week.
Yeah, when you
'Cause
said
that's
it, I
one
thought.
other person to let
Uh-huh.
down when I call them and say, I gotta
Right,
finish
can't do
this.
it. So what I'm gonna do is to write down, consider, scheduling 1 to 2 lunches or dinners this month.
Yeah, that would be doable.
Yeah. And that's based on what you just said too.
Mhm.
Okay. Anything else you want me to put down?
Can't think of anything right now.
That's right, so one thing is, and that kind of fits with, it's like doing this instead of this.
Mhm.
Yeah. So one thing's enough.
And that actually has secondary gains too, cause it means I'd be eating better, eating more nutritiously instead of sitting at my desk with a protein bar or.
Okay, so there's extra benefits from that, diet, but then also having connection. So I'm guessing that part of the being out of balance is not having that connection too. You went right to having, lunch with friends as opposed to, you could have done anything else,
Mhm.
So, we'll meet the same time next week, and, that's for you to take with you. And I've got a copy for my records. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Me too, thank you.